Hello, and welcome to Breath of Fresh Ed, a podcast with purpose focused on education topics for today, tomorrow, and always, with Kristen, Jen, and Lauren. Welcome to episode 6, Awkward Moments in a Virtual Meeting. And even as I'm introducing this episode, you are probably smiling or nodding because who hasn't experienced some awkwardness at some point? So friends, let's get real for a minute. What's been awkward for you?
All right, so I'll start us off here because when I enter meetings, unfortunately, I can't always be on a meeting on time. And so I'm jumping between two different meetings, and we will put in the chat box either, hey, sorry to interrupt, just popping in, kind of continue. And then people are like, whoa, the chat's going off, calm down, like a button, ah. And then all of a sudden they start reading it. And it's almost more distracting. And the same thing when you're like, oh, I'm going to go, let me know, text me if you need anything. And then they're like, oh, okay, bye, Jen, bye. I'm like, oh my gosh, like it's so, you're trying to be discreet and helpful, but it's more distracting. I don't know. That chat box just stresses me out, I think.
And you want to be like, be cool. Like, it's just
Right.
me. I'm trying to slip into a meeting and people are making a big ordeal out of it.
Oh my God, it's so crazy.
Yeah, it's almost like, we have all these norms, but people are still so awkward even after 2 months of doing this.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I will say in a virtual setting, it's not easy to slip into a meeting or be late to a meeting as it is when you're face-to-face.
I know.
That's hard.
Yeah.
Well, you got to figure that out because if we're like this next year, it'll be less distracting. I feel like I'm like a bull trying to shop, entering and exiting.
I know. Or just be on time. How about that?
Yeah. Well,
I'm just teasing. But what about you, Lauren?
Yeah, I think background noise has been super awkward for a lot of us. Lots of different things. I mean, I'm lucky because I just have my 2 dogs at home while I'm working all day. So, I get there whining and things like that. Today, my dog was hacking up a hairball and I didn't want people thinking it was me. It was like the most disturbing noise ever. But I've popped into some meetings and I'm going to tell you, let's just be cognizant of what's happening in our backgrounds at our houses. And I know it's like landscaping season. We've got that type of stuff. We've got other people in the house. But let's also be cognizant of the intentional stuff that we're doing in the background. One meeting I popped into, it was, this loud music playing in the background. And I think it was intentional. Hoping it wasn't, but I think it was. And there was a ton of professionals in this meeting, and I just don't think that it was the right setting to do that. You have to be able to determine, what's a professional setting and what's, your close team that, knows you and has been working with you where you're able to do that and it's not awkward.
Yeah.
It's like appropriate playlist kind of thing.
Yes.
Themed and based.
Yeah. So that makes me, so I was on a phone call and Josh, my husband, he was all of a sudden I hear this racket coming from the garage and he pops his head in and he's like, cause I work in my dining room table right now. And he pops his head in and he's like, am I making too much noise? Are you good? And I'm like, no, he's drilling, literally drilling a hole. So I could not find the mute button fast enough. And then I'm trying to like make eye contact so I don't mute my camera, but I have to talk to him to be like, oh my gosh, man, come on. Like,
Well, that's really funny, but at least you were cognizant of like being muted or not. Like there have been times where I have legit yelled at my kids and I realized I was not muted. Like the other day I yelled at my kids and someone was talking and they were like, oh, and they like giggled and I was like, oh, they're giggling at me because I forgot to remute myself. And I was like not being kind. My kids were like slamming a glass door. And then today I was in a meeting with some people and I had to say, excuse me, one of my daughters is about to cut the other daughter's hair. And so I had to I thought I quickly muted myself and I ran over to my kids and was like, what are you doing? And all of a sudden my daughter Ellie looked at me and she held out the scissors and then just dropped them. It was just really sassy, ha, got you, Mom. And then I went back to the computer and I realized, oh yeah, they heard everything. Like I was not muted.
Funny.
And what's awkward about that is like you have to continue the meeting after. So like I'm, a beast. And then I'm like, oh, and then here's professional self trying to conduct a professional meeting. While you just witnessed that I yelled at my children to not cut each other's hair and try to break glass.
No one needs quarantine bangs right now.
No. No, it was bad. You know what else is awkward is the hello or goodbye. Like, I'm not going to lie. There are some times where if I'm in a bigger meeting and I don't know everyone in the meeting as well, and like, especially with Google Meet, you could see who's like already in the meeting. If it's someone that I'm not sure about, or if it's just like one or two people that I like don't know as well, I may hang out until like a couple more people trickle in because I just don't know if small talk for the first time in a virtual setting is for me.
Thanks for saying that out loud.
Now it's like it's on blast and for everyone to hear, right?
Guilty of that one too.
Okay, I was going to say,
Every
totally
day.
someone else is with
Guilty.
me on that.
Yes.
The other thing when you're entering what's awkward is when there's like say 12 people in there and there's no one talking. And like the facilitator, whoever's starting the meeting hasn't started yet. So that's, I think, also what gets awkward. Maybe that's where like the Lauren comment about someone starts to just randomly play, music or something in the background just to be background noise.
Yeah, that's true. But what about the goodbye too? Like you say goodbye and you're ending a meeting. And like usually if you're like in a face-to-face setting, at least you're like easing out of the meeting with like packing up your bag or making small talk. But there is no small talk. So you're like, okay, meeting's adjourned. Bye. Can't get to my end button fast enough. So I'm like awkwardly waving fast at you. Like, and it's just like, it's just really awkward. So I like usually try to keep my hand on the mouse on the end button so that it's like, okay, bye, click.
I know it was way worse in the beginning when we didn't have that muscle memory of where the, leave call button was, but I feel like we've got it down now. I feel better at least.
Well, it's funny. Yeah. There's so thinking about entering meetings that you just talked about, Chris, and there's a few people that will always say, so if I always try to enter a meeting muted, that way I just don't know like where we're at with it, but there's always this one person who's always like, you're muted, Jen. Do you want to be muted? Jen, do you want me to unmute you? Jen, and I'm like, I know. But there's always that, or it's like the opposite where someone's really talking and chatting and they're so animated and they're the ones that are muted. And you're like, how do I bust into this and like let them know? Do you let it go? Like, what if it goes too far? Or I don't know. So that's
and you don't want to be the person who's like, oh, you're muted because they're so excited.
Yes. No, it's like playing double dutch. You're like, I don't know how to get in.
That's a good way to put it, actually. It's almost like you wish you could unmute them, but like, especially in Google Meet, like you can mute people, but then you can't unmute them. But I hate that notification that it's like, Kristen Clark just muted Jen, like it's on blast. Everyone knows.
Right.
Well, I'm thankful we haven't had any like crazy situations, like things that we've been seeing online, like the Jennifer going to the bathroom. Or I watched this one today where this team of 4 teachers were hanging up with each other, and the one guy, he didn't hang up and he stood up and he was like in his underwear.
I saw that.
And the woman that was on the call called him on his cell phone. I was like, we see you. And he like ran away.
Oh, poor guy.
Yeah. He like darted like, down the hallway. It was really funny.
I LOL'd on that one.
I know. I did.
Another one that gets, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Oh, well, that was one of them, truthfully, is the over talking on virtual conversation. Like, oh, no, me. But I'm trying to remember which one I was going to say real quick. Oh, the let me share my screen person. There's always this person, I feel like, in a meeting that's like, let me share my screen, but we're all on the same collaborative document. So I'm not quite sure I need to see their screen. So it's like that. I don't know. People are so excited about all these features. I don't know how to balance it.
They want to use all the features, right? They want to raise their hand, share your screen, and be muted at the same time while they're talking.
Right. Oh my gosh. That's funny.
So let's be awkward together. We've all been there. What are some funny moments you've experienced? Share with us on our website at breathoffreshed.com or use the hashtag breathoffreshed.